Start. Sir, it is my proud privilege to initiate this important debate on the sixth plan in this august house, although I have been in charge of the Ministry of Planning only for a few days. I have had the opportunity, along with my colleagues in the cabinet, of considering the plan in its various aspects, and I shall try to present before you the salient features of the plan in the perspective of government's general overall economic objectives. Let me say at the outset that the sixth plan, covering the years 1980-81 to 1984-85, has been formulated in the light of the development experience of the past 3 decades and the perspective we need to keep for the next 10 to 15 years. The country's performance in the past has yielded very valuable lessons, and we must adapt our strategy of development in the light of this experience. The initial conditions from which the plan had to commence were far from favorable. 1970-80 was a drought year during which agricultural production slumped. There was a sharp rise in prices which continued during 1980-81, and many weaknesses appeared in the basic infrastructure of coal, transport and power, which in turn had adverse consequences for industrial growth. Internationally, we faced a sharp rise in prices of petroleum and other imports, while recessionary conditions in the industrialized world held out a threat for our exports. In a situation such as this, it was not easy for the government and the Planning Commission to chart the course of the Planning Commission of the country for the next 5, 10 or 15 years, which would be bold or definitive. At the same time, the problems facing the country are so acute that solutions brook no delay. Removal of poverty and unemployment and attainment of self-reliance have been the basic goals of planned development, and they remain so for the sixth plan as well. In order to move forward towards these objectives, it is essential, although not sufficient, to achieve a high rate of growth of national income. The plan thus aims at a growth of 5.2% per annum. This is not an ambition target, especially since 1979-80 was year of lot output, but it still requires assiduous efforts, utilize excess capacity in the system, and to build new productive capacities in industry as well as agriculture, in power and in transport, so as to sustain the momentum of development in the years to come. Beyond the present plan period, we think this effort can be made. Indeed, in the first 18 months since this government came to power, such an efforts has been made. As a result, the growth rate last year was 7% and is likely to be 4.5% this year. Thus, the average for the plan may come to 6%. In order to achieve the target growth rate of 5.2%, both agriculture and industry will have to perform better than in the past. In terms of gross value added, the plan envisages an average growth rate of about 4% for agriculture and about 7% for mining and manufacturing. The realization of these targets will require a substantial step up in investment as well as a considerable improvement in capacities which have already been created, particularly in such critical sectors as irrigation, power, coal, petroleum, fertilizers, cement and railways. The sixth plan lays balanced emphasis on both these aspects. The country is currently self-sufficient in food grains. However, there are still gaps in such important areas as pulses and vegetables, oilseeds, agriculture being still the foundation of our economy. The sixth plan contains a number of programs designed to further strengthen the modernizing impulses in agriculture, covering both food and cash crops. As a part of the overall strategy, the area under irrigation is sought to be increased by nearly 15 million hectares over the plan period. The consumption of chemical fertilizers is expected to go up from 5 million tons of nutrients in 1979-80 to 9 million tons in 1984-85. The institutional credit for agriculture and rural development will be more than doubled over the plan period. The newly planned National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development will act as a powerful agent for overcoming the weaknesses of the credit delivery systems, particularly in meeting the credit needs of small and marginal farmers and rural artisans. Apart from crop husbandry, considerable stress has been laid on the development of subsidiary occupations like animal husbandry, horticulture, fisheries, social and farm forestry. The dairy development program alone is expected to benefit about 15 million families. It is the declared policy of the government to provide remunerative prices for farm produce and to strengthen the infrastructure for marketing so that farmers have an adequate incentive to produce more.